You work hard. Every day. You wake up early, you push yourself, you try to stay disciplined, you try to do everything right. And still, nothing changes. You're still broke, still stuck, still in the same place. And that frustrates you, because deep down, you feel like you deserve more. But life doesn't agree. Money comes and disappears. Bills come and take everything away. And you're left with nothing, again and again and again. And after a while, you stop questioning it. You just accept it. You tell yourself, this is just how life is. But that's not true. That's the lie you were taught. Because the truth is, working hard is not the problem. But it's also not the solution. And that's where most people get stuck. They believe hard work is enough. They believe effort equals success. But it doesn't. Because if that was true, every construction worker, every farmer, every laborer would be rich. But they're not. And that should tell you something. The system is not built on effort. It's built on understanding. Understanding how money works, understanding how value works, understanding how leverage works. And no one teaches you that. Instead, you're taught to work, to obey, to follow, to survive, not to grow, not to build, not to escape. So you grow up thinking more effort equals more money. And you keep repeating that pattern for years, sometimes decades, but nothing changes. Because you're stuck in a loop you didn't even realize exists. Wake up, work, earn, spend, repeat. Wake up, work, earn, spend, repeat. And slowly, that becomes your life. Not because you're lazy, not because you're stupid, but because your brain is programmed that way. Your brain wants safety. Your brain wants comfort. Your brain avoids risk. So it keeps you in familiar patterns, even if those patterns are destroying your future, even if they're keeping you broke. Because to your brain, familiar pain is better than unfamiliar risk. So you stay. You don't try new things. You don't think differently. You don't question the system. And that's exactly how the system wins. Because the moment you start thinking, you become dangerous. You start seeing things differently. You start asking questions. You start realizing you were never meant to escape. You were meant to stay, to work, to consume, to survive, not to win. And that realization is uncomfortable because it forces you to face the truth. You're not stuck because of your situation. You're stuck because of your mindset, because the way you think is keeping you where you are. You focus on effort instead of direction. You focus on working harder instead of working smarter. You focus on time instead of value. And that's why nothing changes, because effort without direction is just wasted energy. You can run as fast as you want, but if you're running in the wrong direction, you'll never reach your destination. And that's exactly what's happening. You're moving, but you're not progressing. You're busy, but you're not growing. And deep down, you feel it. You know something is wrong. You just don't know what. And that confusion keeps you stuck even more. Because when you don't understand the problem, you can't fix it. So you keep doing what you've always done, hoping something will change. But it won't. Not until you change. Not until you start thinking differently. Not until you break the loop. Because the truth is, money doesn't follow effort. Money follows value. And value is not created by working more hours. It's created by solving bigger problems, by thinking bigger, by acting differently, by stepping outside your comfort zone. And that's the part most people avoid, because it's uncomfortable, it's uncertain, it's risky, and your brain hates that. So it pulls you back. It tells you, stay safe, stay where you are, don't take risks. And you listen because it feels right. But what feels right is keeping you broke, and what feels uncomfortable is what can change your life. That's the paradox. That's the trap. and most people never escape it. They stay in the same cycle for years until it becomes permanent, until it becomes their identity. I'm just not lucky. I'm just not meant for more. I'm just average. But that's not true. That's just the story you keep telling yourself because it's easier than changing. It's easier than taking responsibility. It's easier than stepping into the unknown. But if you want a different life, you need a different mindset. You need to stop thinking like everyone else. You need to stop following the same path. You need to stop trading time for money and start building something bigger, something that works for you even when you're not working, because that's how you escape, not by working harder, but by thinking differently, because the moment you change your thinking, you change your direction, and the moment you change your direction, you change your life. So the question is, are you ready to break the loop, or will you stay stuck doing the same thing for the rest of your life? Subscribe if you're ready to see the truth.